just talking about projections. A company that at the time when we got started, there were back orders, for about 90 days. I remember Mr. Haynes, it was the people that we connected with, we had faith in, that we believed in, that we didn't concern ourselves about the issues that we were going through. And a lot of people were not able to see past those issues. But in spite of all those things that were going on in wave one, Organo Gold did about $1 billion in sales. Organo Gold has produced the top money earners in the world of this industry in its first 5 years. And if you look at this industry as a whole, the companies, guys, the multi-billion dollar companies, the number one money earners did not come in wave one. They didn't come in the first 5 years. Who's excited about some of the top money earners that are going to hit these stages being a part of your organization? So I encourage you guys, don't miss this moment. Seize this moment. Seize this moment, okay? We're going to talk about a 90-day game plan, because 90 days, if you do it right, success loves speed. And some of you heard the statement, if you stick and stay, you'll get your pay, right? Who's heard that? You'll stick your pay. If you stick and stay, you'll get your pay. And we would not be fully honest with you guys if we said all you have to do is stick and stay and you'll get your pay. You got, at some point, you have to make a decision. You got to make a decision that you're going to go to work. Because just sticking and staying, just sitting around and just watching what's going on, you're not going to get your pay. Success loves speed. Does that make sense? And the great thing is each and every one of you here today can decide to increase the speed in your business. To lay out a game plan in the next 90 days, a velocity of success that you can create that'll help you to take off. Just like a space shuttle takes off. When a space shuttle takes off, in order for it to leave the atmosphere, it has to be at an escape velocity. An escape velocity, basically, when you look at the definition of escape velocity, it's the speed in which the space shuttle has to be at in order to break free. Does that make sense? It has to break free from the gravitational pull. And in this kind of business, guys, in order to break free from the gravitational pull of mediocrity, you have to have the speed and velocity necessary to make it happen. Does that make sense? You have to compress time frames. And I promise you, the leaders that are in front of this room, many of you can look back to a 90-day game plan. A 90-day game plan that really set the foundation for their business. Okay? It doesn't stop in 90 days, but it's important that you go and make it happen. Fair enough? All right, we're going to talk about the 90-day game plan. Step number one is, before you leave here today, guys, you want to make sure you have your list. Who has a list already? Make sure you have your list. Don't just have pieces of paper all over the place. Does it make sense? Make sure you have a dedicated list to building your business. Now, some of you may say, well, I went through my warm market already. I'm in the NFL. Anyone know about the NFL? No friends left, right? Here's the thing, guys. You really want to look at who you know. Who do they know? You have to attack that list with a whole different mindset. Many of you may have never talked to your dentist yet. Many of you may have never talked to your doctor. Many of you never talked to your lawyer. Many of you may have never talked to that person you really look up to. Now's the time. Now's the time to put those names and numbers down. Does that make sense? This weekend, who's excited about this weekend? There's going to be some announcements this weekend that you're going to want to have your A players on your list. You're going to want your A players on your list. And you're going to get excited this weekend to talk to those A players. I encourage you to actually put those names and numbers down. Make your list. And here's the thing. Would you agree it's easy to meet new people with coffee? Everywhere you go, guys, one of the easiest conversations you can have is coffee. Just making new relationships all the time. Many people say, I ran out of people. Who would agree there's 355 million people in North America alone? 355 million people in North America. You'll never run out of people, you just run out of courage. You never run out of people, you run out of courage to talk to someone else. I encourage you to go out there and talk to more people. All right? So make that list. Step number two. Step number two is you got to build your belief. You know, anyone heard the principle, faith without works is dead? A list without belief is dead. Does that make sense? You want to make sure that you make your list. Have belief. Now, how do you create your belief? Now, you hear the leaders are talking about all the time. Anyone heard about affirmations? Speaking to yourself. You have to you got to see where you're going right now. This weekend is going to help you build your belief, because you're going to see people who've done it before you. And you're going to build that belief, and it starts with speaking it. You have to speak it to yourself. You got to visualize it. Everything great starts first in your mind, then on paper, and then the discipline of doing it. But you have to be able to walk through it in your mind first. Does that make sense? You got to build a belief. You got to understand what's your game plan. What is your goal over the next 90 days? People want to be a part of something big. When you launch your business, when people feel like you're about to do something, when they don't even have to understand the business. If they feel your belief, who's ever left a big event like this and your belief was at an all-time high? And when you left, you seemed like everyone was attracted to you, right? Because your belief level got to a different level. You have to write it down what you're about to do over the next 90 days. You have to speak it. You got to do the incantations, the affirmations. You got to speak it to a point, and you don't have to totally believe it just yet. You don't have to totally believe it just yet, but you start to speak it. And who believes in belief? When you start to speak it, when you start to repeat it over and over again, you keep saying it, it's going to happen. Had a gentleman who got started with Organo Gold. A number of people got started with our business. And one of the things that, in 2013, we launched some businesses and helped people go Ruby and consultant in their first few days. And right away, many of them started their business, and they were saying, a few of them started off saying, I think this is going to be a big project. I said, listen, you don't think anything. You got to say, this will be the biggest project of my professional career. Does that make sense? This will be the biggest project of my professional career. And why is that? Why is that? Because you said it, right? Some people say, when I see it, I'll believe it. You ever heard that? Yeah. When you believe it, you'll see it. When you believe it, you'll see it. You got to understand that principle. So you have the big belief. You got to write it down. You got to talk about it. You got to speak it. You want to name your project. What's your project over the next 90 days? How many people are going to come into your organization over the next 90 days? Is it 500 people? Is it 1,000 people? What are you going to believe in your business? I encourage you, at minimum, focus on 1,000 people. Project 1,000 over the next 90 days. I'm going to show you a game plan. I'm not talking to everyone in the room, because everyone in the room may not be ready for it. I'm going to show you a game plan, because who wants to go diamond? You're looking to go diamond. I'm not talking to people who just want to be part-time. That's fine. I'm talking to those today who want to leave here and truly seize the moment. Seize the moment. So set a project. Name your project. Start to speak the project. What's about to happen? People, when you talk to people, they need to feel like you're going to get this thing done. With Mr. Holton Buggs, I remember getting started with back in 2010. Mr. Holton Buggs had a game plan. He started speaking Project 10,000. He said in the next 90 days, we're going to put 10,000 people into the system. Who would agree that takes some audacity to believe 10,000 people? Now, he did it in a time when there was a lot of confusion going on in Organo Gold. There was some confusion going on. There was a lot of things that were going on back then. In end of 2009, moving into 2010, there's a lot of confusion. But Mr. Holton Buggs said, listen, we're launching Project 10,000. We're going to put 10,000 people into this business over the next 90 days that never even heard about Organo Gold prior to today. They don't even know what happened just 3 months ago. Does it make sense? You got to launch, and you got to speak it, and people have to already in their mind visualize that they're about to miss out on this big project. You got to name it, okay? Number 4, qualify your list for your top prospects, for your 4 checkers. Because here's the thing, guys, you're building a multi-million-dollar business, potentially a multi-billion-dollar business. Don't you want to make sure you're identifying your top prospects? If in your mind you already believe this will be a big project, you want to make sure you go after people that can help you to move that project forward. The most influential people that you know. People who are self-starters. People who already have the financial wherewithal to make it happen. People who have money tend to be around people who have money. People who have money tend to have a mindset. Who would agree? Now, not to say that people that don't have money don't have the right mindset. What I am saying is that people who have money, many times they got there for a reason. So you want to identify people who have the financial resources to make it happen, and they'll attract other people with the financial resources. If a person like Greg Norman was attracted to Organo Gold, you know, worth upwards to over $300 million, right? Upwards to about $300 million. Would you agree we have a large range of people that we can attract? If a Mr. Rod Smith, Hall of Fame, future Hall of Fame football player, worth 8 figures before Organo Gold, would you agree you have a large span of people you can talk to? If the same compensation plan, the same product attracted them, would you agree you can attract people as well? All right? So have your top prospects. Any major institution, any major sports organization, any corporate organization, they're not trying to find people that are easy to get. They're looking for the top qualified prospects. They're looking for top talent. They hire people to be talent experts, to go out there and identify some of the top talent. Some of us think that we're the only ones in this country that recruit, network marketing. No, major companies, you find an organization, a top-notch organization that's not recruiting, that's not out there looking to identify top quality prospects. You want to do the same thing. When you think about your prospects, think about people that if they called you, would you listen? Does that make sense? If they called you, would you listen? Step number 5. Who has a calendar? Who has a calendar? If you have your calendar, raise it up. You have your calendar on you. You want to leave here this weekend, guys, make sure you have your calendar. Make sure you have your OG calendar. It's one of the most incredible things, and just watching Mr. Holton Bugs, one of the things that he talks about over and over again is he talks about training on the calendar. Many times we're trying to train people how to be a sapphire. We're trying to train them on how to be a ruby. And one of the things Mr. Holton Bugs does, he trains on how to be productive. How to map out your calendar and do the proper activity. He understands up front that if you do the proper activity, you're going to get the proper results. Does that make sense? And really quickly, guys, I'm going to show you. I'm going to give you guys an illustration here, because who heard? We want to do at least 4 coffee and jazz mixes per week, right? 4 coffee and jazz mixes per week. If you're launching over the next 90 days, guys, you want to increase it. You want to compress time frames. Will it be easy? No, but it's going to be worth it. Would you agree it's worth it? Here's what I found out, guys. I mean, it's very powerful. I was just reading something. I was just reading Time magazine. And it talked about the income, lifetime income of those who have various levels of education, all right? Lifetime income. It talked about people who had a GED, who had a high school diploma, who had a bachelor's degree, and they had the average lifetime income. Then they had master's degree. They had JD and MD, okay? I'm gonna start with just basically the bachelor's degree. The bachelor's degree. All right, see. Can you guys hear me okay? All right. At a bachelor's degree, the average income, lifetime income, is over it was $2.4 million lifetime income with a bachelor's degree. Lifetime. Master's degree. Lifetime income. I think I'm breaking this thing, all right? Is that better? All right. Lifetime income with a master's degree. Too loud. Lifetime income with a master's degree, $2.8 million lifetime. JD, MD, lifetime income. These are the elite, right? And when it comes to corporate professionals, those who've gone to school for many years, who've invested 6 figures plus for their degrees, multiple 6 figures. Lifetime income, on average, $4.2 million. JD, MD, lawyers and doctors. We just had Mr. Jose Ardon sitting right here. Fourth grade formal education. Fourth grade formal education just earned his $5 million ring. Not lifetime, the last 12 months earned over $5 million. In about 4 years. He did last year what the average JD, MD does in a lifetime. And many of us guys will treat our jobs and things of that sort more important than we do our business. It's not going to be always going to be easy, but who would agree if you can compress 40 years into your life into 4 years, 5 years? Would it be worth it? So if you have the right mindset, you're not going to sit here and try to have maximum income with minimal effort. Many of you are already going sapphire. Some of you in the room are sapphires. Some of you are rubies. Some of you are emeralds. Most of you have already done sapphire volume. Most of you have already done ruby volume. Most of you have already done emerald and diamond volume. You just haven't done it fast enough. It took you longer than 30 days to do it. Right? You guys did blue diamond volume over and over again. Just maybe take you 60 days, maybe take you a month, whatever it may be. You've already done it. You just got to compress the time frame. You know the volume goes in. You just got to compress the time frame. You got to speed it up. Does that make sense? Who feels good as you already went sapphire? You did sapphire volume. That you did ruby volume already. You just didn't do it fast enough. Mr. Holton Boggs, he said, we went black diamond, and he did massive volume. He did incredible volume the first few weeks. He said, I wasn't surprised. I just did what most people do in a year. I did it in 2 weeks. And I created a culture that others were willing to work. So let's look at your schedule. And I'm not going to even go all out on it. I'm going to show you something, guys, that you can that all of you, I know, if you decide to do it, you can maintain it. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you have Thursday, you have Friday, you have Saturday, you have Sunday. Saturday, excuse my handwriting. All right. So, who would agree that most of us have lunchtime, right? We have a lunch break. Make sure you don't eat alone. Go to lunch with someone. Show them the plan. Can you show the plan at lunchtime? Can you do a daytime activity where you can do at least one presentation? I'm not telling you to quit your job. Many people quit their job too soon. They quit their job thinking they have to quit their job in order to do Organo Gold. I promise you guys, a part-time story is much more powerful than a full-time story. Because most of the people who are joining your business, they're joining part-time. Does that make sense? They're joining part-time. So a job is a great solution for a temporary problem. That temporary problem is cash flow. Does that make sense? So keep the cash flow coming into your household. Don't quit your job. Counsel with your upline on when is a good time. Just a general rule, I suggest that you at least put away 6 months of your income, minimum. 6 months of your income. You start matching your income, live on your Organo Gold income for 6 months. And allow your paycheck to go into your bank account. Just feel how it feels to live on Organo Gold income for 6 months and have your whole paycheck go into your bank account. Does that make sense? And still seek counsel with your upline to make sure it's the right time in order to make that decision. Fair enough? I'm going to show you how you can do it with a full-time job, a 9-to-5 job, and you can still get into over 16 plus presentations for the week. Who's excited about that? All right. So on Monday, you can do a lunchtime, but I'm going to show you 16 presentations. You can add additional areas. But just say on Monday night, you do a Monday night presentation. You do 3 presentations on Monday night. Now, many times we say, how do you do 3 coffee and jazz mixes? How do you do 3 presentations in one day if you're full-time? Anyone ever asked that question? Yeah. One of the things you can do, guys, is I love coffee table presentations where I can sit over a coffee table. I can be at a coffee shop. I can, as I'm building my business, as I'm building my business, I'm going to be sitting down with people, showing them a plan, but also some of my team members can invite people to that same coffee shop and have a coffee table presentation. You can be there and show the plan 3 or 4 times back to back. So can you show the plan 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, right? It takes only about 30 minutes to show the plan. You can have people come to you, all right? Especially when you've done your own personal presentations in your home. Many of you are still in your home trying to do presentations. You're out of that list. You're launching your business in your home, right? But then you're gonna get out of your home, and then many times you may be adding people to your team that you meet in the marketplace over a coffee table in neutral locations. But the reason why you're adding people to your team is so you can then multiply. Because once you add that person to your team, they have a whole list of warm market that now you can get into, and you get into their living room. Does that make sense? So coffee table presentations, all right? Let's say Tuesday night, maybe your weekly meeting. So it can be a coffee and jazz mixer, maybe a citywide coffee and jazz mixer, maybe in someone's living room that you're there doing a coffee and jazz mixer. Can you do presentations on Wednesday? 3 presentations. Another way was very powerful, guys. You can do the presentation when you have people that you're doing a presentation for. Many times you have distributors who you've done their second presentation, and they can get those presentations started for their new person. They can co-host someone else's presentation, they can get it started, and who would agree that the Coffee That Pays DVD is very powerful. They watch that DVD, and you can come in on the tail end and put your influence into the room as well. Only takes about 15 minutes to share your story, help them close out the presentation, and you can literally go from one living room, go to someone else's living room, and someone else's living room. You can do 3 presentations, 3 coffee and jazz mixers in one night. Does that make sense? That DVD does most of the heavy lifting. But also, again, you can do coffee table presentations. Thursday, let's say citywide CJM, or it could be in someone's living room. You're doing a coffee and jazz meeting, getting someone launched off, and you're going through that whole presentation with them. Friday, let's take Friday off. We can even take Friday off and spend time with our family and friends, right? Some of you may say, you know what, I'm not willing to sacrifice, faith, my family, well, let's make sure we keep our family a priority. Okay, very important. So you keep your family, your faith, you have a priority there. And Friday night, you have date night with the spouse. You can spend the time with the children. Take off Friday. Fair enough? And you're still going to get enough presentations in to go out there and make it happen. Saturday. Can you do a 2 o'clock CJM? Can you do a 4 o'clock CJM? Can you do a 6 o'clock CJM? Got 3 more presentations on Saturday. On Sunday, maybe many of you go to church in the morning time or that time. Can you do a 3 o'clock CJM? Can you do a 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock? Can you do 2 on Sunday? You count that up. It's one. What I missed out on was the daytime. So also you're doing daytime presentations. Can you do Tuesday lunch? Can you do Wednesday? Can you do a Thursday lunch? You count it up as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 presentations you got in 1 week. Who can do that? It may start off with smaller groups of people. Maybe you're adding people at some times. But eventually it's going to start getting bigger crowds. You can have those coffee table presentations where you have 2 or 3 people who are also inviting people to see the presentation with you. You're showing the plan. You have 3 or 5 people at that coffee table. It could be at a hotel lobby. It could be at a coffee shop, and you're doing presentations. All right? But here's the thing, guys. You start to get 5 people at a presentation. These CJMs, you want to have 5 or more people. 5 or more qualified prospects. Five or more qualified prospects at these coffee and jazz mixers. All right? You want to pull at least $1,000 in volume on average at the CJMs. These coffee and jazz mixers, you're having at least 5 or more people pulling $1,000 in volume. I mean, there are 6 coffee and jazz. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 coffee and jazz mixers right there. That's 7,000 in volume just for that presentation, not even talking about the coffee table presentation you're doing as well. Will you go sapphire doing that? I promise you guys, you do this kind of activity, there's no way you're getting out the month without going sapphire. You're not getting out the month without going sapphire. Does it make sense? Book your calendar. You gotta book the calendar, you gotta draw it out, guys, and then you gotta take the time to book the calendar. It doesn't take long to book out your week. It doesn't take long to book out your week. You can literally just take, many times we're so focused, we're focused on all the wrong things. We're talking about what we're gonna do, we're thinking about what we're gonna do, and we're consuming our whole day just thinking about it versus being about it. Can you take 25 minutes out of your day? 25 focused minutes out of your day to just bang out as many calls as you can in 25 minutes. Here's the thing, guys. In today's society, we have a hard time focusing. We're all over the place. We're on Facebook. We're all over the place. If you start to train yourself to focus, some people say time management. I don't believe in time management. We can't manage time. We all have 24 hours in a day. It's pretty well managed. But what you can manage is your focus. Does that make sense? What you focus on. You can get so much done in 25 minutes. Just a focused 25 minutes. You can take a break 5 minutes. Go right back into another focused 25. How many times a day are you focused on the right activities and just being consistent with it throughout the day? You can be in your car just making, taking the time to make it happen, booking out your calendar. Doing confirmations. If a new person gets started, and I want to make sure I'm not wasting my time. If I feel like I'm wasting my time at a coffee and jazz, I'll spend, if I'm talking, if Bill Thompson has a coffee and jazz mixer tomorrow, and I'm very intentional about where I'm spending my time, I'm going to ask him to have a list of people that I may confirm for Saturday. So by Friday, he has 10, 15, 20 people that I'll just give them a call. I'll say, hey, Damon, this is Sulaiman. We haven't met, but we have a mutual friend in Bill Thompson. You know Bill, right? Okay. Hey, Bill is excited about you being at his home tomorrow for his coffee and jazz mixer. I'm helping him co-host his event tomorrow. I just wanted to give you a quick call to introduce myself. I look forward to seeing you there tomorrow. Are you coming along or you're bringing someone with you? Bringing someone with you? Awesome. What's their name? Kiana. That's your wife? Awesome. We're going to add her to the list as well. I look forward to seeing you there tomorrow. Fair enough? You literally can just treat that. I'm treating that list like it's my list. I'm not making the calls for him. He has the relationship. I'm just confirming to make sure I have 5 or 10 or 15 qualified prospects in the living room. So when I'm there, I know I'm making sure my calendar is not only has booked meetings, but I'm also having content and I'm having qualified prospects at those meetings as well. Who can do that? All right? So book your calendar out. Your calendar is not a calendar, it's a calculator. You can calculate what you want to achieve just by having your calendar, booking it out, and being disciplined to that calendar. If you're disciplined to that calendar, you draw it out and you be disciplined to it, you're going to create the results with the right belief. And what you're doing as well, guys, is your team is watching you. This is one of the most important things. Your team is watching you. You are creating a new culture or commitment to work. Some of us already created a commitment. We already created a culture in our organization. The best way to create a new culture of work is create a new list of people. You actually have a new list of people that you're working with because they're already watching what you're doing. People don't care what you're saying. We've been talking about 4 CJMs and things of that sort. People don't care what you say because what you're doing is speaking too loud. When they see you working and they see it going on, they understand what's necessary to go out there and be successful. Does that make sense? Who sees a lot of your leaders when they were in the hunt, when they were making it happen, if you were around, you had a chance to see them during those 90 days. When you had a chance to see them going for diamond. Some of them, some of them are living lifestyle, living the number one lifestyle. But when they were going for their goals and they were in the hunt, you saw them doing presentations day in and day out. Does that make sense? All right. One of the things you want to make sure you do personally is you want to recruit. You want to recruit in the next 90 days. 60 to 90 days, next 60 to 90 days, you want to personally recruit at least 18 to 24 people. 18 to 24 people. Some of you are launching your business right now. You want to launch it and you want to recruit. Is it going to be easy? It's not going to be easy. But if you can, again, if you can compress in less than 5 years, what most people don't do in a lifetime, would it be worth it? So no one's saying it's going to be easy. It wasn't easy, but it's worth it. 18 to 24 people in the next 60 to 90 days. That's half of the 2020 plan. You're on track for the 2020 plan. Doing 18 to 24 people in the next 90 days. Who's up for the challenge? Next 30 days, you want to get a bulk of that done in the next 30 days. You want to recruit 12 people. Coming out of this event, you want to recruit 12 people in the next 30 days. Again, it's not always what you do, it's the speed in which you do it. Going from person to person with the same level of enthusiasm, with the same level of belief, the same level of excitement about what's about to happen. You got to be a thermostat, not a thermometer. A thermostat dictates the environment. A thermometer leaves here and waits for other people to start bringing them down. Thermostat, you got to be consistent with it. Does that make sense? 18 to 24 people. What's that's going to do is going to give you about 6 to 8 engaged legs. 18 to 24. Some will incubate. Some will quit just as fast as they get started. Some will incubate because they're watching you. They're watching to see what happens. They're not ready to really go out right away. Some got to do their research and become Ganoderma experts before they go to work. But about 18 to 24 is going to give you 6 to 8 engaged legs. It doesn't even have to always be people, because some of you already have some teams of business. You can internally recruit as well. Does that make sense? You already have some legs of business. And I'm not saying go back to that same person and try to now make that a new leg. You have to find new blood in that one leg. If Steven's part of the team right now, if Steven, he's active, I want to find someone in his leg that's brand new that I can now work with as if I personally sponsored them. As Mr. Ed Hartley talked about, 4 levels deep is a leg. 8 levels deep is an organization. So you may be building depth in some legs, but you got to find a new person that you can work with. Now let me warn you, this doesn't always work with all legs. Some of your legs, you haven't had enough success yet. You've been auditioning for the qualification to work in their leg of business. And some of them are saying, listen, I got this. You know why they're saying I got this? Because maybe you didn't go out there and really build it fast enough. They don't want you working their business just right now. I'm not saying that anyone in here should ever do that. But sometimes we got to take responsibility ourselves as well. That if people don't want it, you don't work where you're tolerated, work where you're celebrated. Does that make sense? So don't try to go on someone else's leg and I want to start working. No. Sometimes you got to go out there and create some new business. You got to start creating some new success stories. Okay? Now, there's some legs of business will love you there, working in their business. And if that person is also, the people that they're working with, is not going to influence them to not go to events, it's not going to influence them in bad ways, and these are edifiable legs of business, the people that are doing the right things, and when you actually talk to these people, and you're working with them, the other people are just going to validate and edify, the leadership in order for you to continue to build it. Now, that may be a little bit deep, okay, but just understand, you can externally recruit, but you can also internally recruit into your business. But you want to have at least 18 to 24 legs of business, new legs of business, okay, or new people you're working with over the next 60 to 90 days. You got it? Within 30 to 60 to 90 days, eventually when you first get started, guys, it's like shotgun. It's not going to be pretty. You're just out there. You're going to work. You're going to work. You're doing whatever presentation you can get. You're just creating this energy. You're creating this excitement. You're making sure you're disciplined to your presentations. After a while, you're going to create so much excitement that more people are going to need your time. More people are going to need your time. And you got to learn to get focused. You got to learn to narrow your focus to those who, again, deserve your time. You're unconditional with your love, but you got to be conditional with your time. Does it make sense? Be unconditional with your love, but you got to be conditional with your time. If you have 6 to 8 legs of business that you're working with, okay, that we put up here. Here's what I've seen Mr. Holton Buggs do. He has a lot of legs of business. He now has over like 19 to 20 legs of diamond legs. Okay? And I've seen him get very focused. Been times where you just can't get him on the phone. He's mastered getting focused and focusing on where he's gonna put his time. Some of us have much smaller businesses and we can't get focused on where we're gonna put our time. Because you gotta get focused, because you gotta build that depth that Mr. Hartley talked about. You have to create new stories. If you're just spreading your time all over the place and you're not creating new sapphire stories, you're not creating new you're not creating new stories, you're not really gonna get that momentum pickup that you really want. Does it make sense? So if you have about 4 legs of business that you're now building depth into, you're now building deep into these organizations, you're getting 4 levels deep, and you start finding these leaders down here, what happens if you have about 4 legs of business, you find about 3 leaders or so in those legs of business, that's 4 legs of business with 3 key core activity leaders that really go out there and they start to duplicate your calendar. That's 12 people. If you have 4 legs with just 3 leaders that you find, not everyone's gonna be a leader. Some people will be your link to leaders. But as you're building through these organizations and you start to find, many times again, they fall on your 4th level. They may fall in between. They're down here on your 8th level, and you start finding these leaders. Many times this person wakes up because when you're working down here, you're down here building your business, you're putting them in your calendar, and you're down here, who's excited? You're excited, they're excited, but also there's all these other people in between who are excited about the fire you're building in depth. You want to burn from the bottom up. That's how you can leverage the same activity, same energy, and keep and retain so many more people. Some of them are building very shallow businesses. You know, I just saw Miss Dolly Yang, she's an Emerald Consultant. Give her a round of applause. Emerald Consultant out of Rochester, you know. She's been about 8 levels deep in our organization, okay? Then she has legs of business that, you know, I'm going to Tampa, Florida with Mr. Bass Grant out there. Maybe about 15, 20 levels deep. Very influential, wave 2 type of individuals that we're working deeper into legs of business. Okay, we got emeralds and rubies, 6-figure income earner in that 1 leg of business. Okay, but again, you're burning from the bottom up. Does it make sense? So you want to make sure you get focused to create the stories and also start building some depth into your organization. And when you do this, guys, again, if you have 4 legs of business or 6 legs of business with 3 into 4 or two leaders in each of the 6 legs of business, you now have 12 leaders. Imagine they replicate your calendar. They're doing 16 presentations a week. Imagine you have 12 sapphires. You know what 12 sapphires, 12 people following your calendar? You know what that does? Takes you diamond. Who's excited about that? It's about the calendar. It's about the proper activity. If they duplicate the calendar, they can duplicate your results. All right? If you have these leaders, let's just say 12 people, they get 10 people to the next event. Organo Gold is very strategic about what we do. Our event's about 90 to about 120 days out. And sometimes there's other events or major events you can build up to. This 90-day run, you want to build up to an event. You want to build from event to event. Does that make sense? You know, remember when we were running for Diamond, because an event is where things just start to explode. So we were doing all this work. We're building this crowd. We're building this crowd of people. We're identifying some leaders. But a crowd will quickly dissipate if you don't get them to the next event. You can build a crowd and it'll go away. And all the work you did, it just starts to fizzle away. The way you create a movement is by building that crowd up, and then you get them to a big event. Those 10 or 12 leaders have about 10 people at the big event. You have over 100 people at an event. You get 100 people to a big event, guys, with the right philosophies, with the 4-step system, with the right mindset, in doing the work, not just going home and thinking about how to get started. with the right activity going into the event, you're coming out. Not only going diamond, you're coming out on your way to blue diamond. That's why Mr. Holtenbach always says, Ruby, 18 to 24 recruits, the recruit's going to get for basically Ruby, but Ruby is really not Ruby, it's the setup for diamond. When you finish out the other 20, you do the 20-20 plan, the 40 people over 6 months, okay? That really sets you up for blue diamond. And we're a prime example of that. We did 40 recruits, literally 40 recruits in our first 6 months. And that set us up. We hit diamond in 10 months, 18 months, we came out as blue diamonds. Does that make sense? And last but not least is you come to the events and you celebrate all the success. Everyone celebrates the success. You just win diamond. Celebrate the success, baby. You gotta visualize. You wanna cheer right now like you just win diamond. This weekend, when people walk across the stage, you wanna cheer like you just win diamond.